Hey, what's up? I'm your host, Shaun T. Welcome to T is for Transformation. And today, I just got to keep it very real. I just want to say that obviously, when you see your favorite podcaster, your favorite actor, your favorite singer, or someone you absolutely love on social media, or people you see at work, or other families you see in your neighborhood, like you oftentimes put people on a pedestal because you think that, oh, my life is perfect, or you see the highlight reels. Obviously, a lot of you talked about that. But today, I want to talk about the fact that obviously a lot of you know me as a motivator. I'm super jovial. I'm always very excited, pretty much always loud and fun and crazy. But I am at a point in my life right now, not like a consistent thing that's happening, like meaning 24 hours a day. But I'm in this and under this little cloud right now of impatience and very short-tempered. And it's easy. It's so easy for me to blame it on, I'm in bodybuilding and I'm low on calories. Well, I'm eating 3,600 calories. Like, it's not that deep. For me, I know when I start to feel this way that I'm under a lot of stress. It's not necessarily bad stress that's going to produce bad outcomes. It can just be stress of being really busy, tired, overworked, just whatever it is that you deal with stress. And I don't know about you, but for me, it really tests my patience. And the reason why it tests my patience is because when I'm in a situation that is less than positive for my mindset, I am constantly trying to find my way out. I literally feel like I'm in a labyrinth and I'm taking these twists and turns, and I try things to relieve the stress, but then I hit a wall and then I got to go backwards and turn and get out of it. And most of the time, communication with people or things or within myself, most of the time it works, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And the thing is, it stresses me out to be impatient because I work so long on trying to be patient. And having a husband partner like Scott, who is super patient, has really been beneficial to me. So when I get to a point where I feel like I'm reverting back to the old me at moments that's very impatient, I start to stress out. Oh, and then I want to add, one of the reasons why I get really stressed when my impatience comes is because then I start to get impatient with my children, which really, really frustrates me because I hated when adults would yell at me or take things out on me because they had a stressful day. I asked Scott, I'm like, oh my gosh, was I too hard or was I this? And he's like, nope, you were very communicative. Like, you were more patient. You handle it better than anyone else. But for me, the feeling that I am feeling impatient is very bothersome to me because I know that I should be allowed to feel that way. And I know I should be allowed to attach to that feeling and emotion, which is what I teach. But I sometimes feel like my mind is weak because I'm letting that get to me. So I went to therapy the other day and it was amazing. I talked to my therapist about it. I was just like, hey, for the first part of this session, I'm just going to vent. And he's like, okay, my therapist is great. I also asked him if I can interview him on this podcast. And he said, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, is that legal? He's like, you can tell people I'm your therapist, but I can't tell people that you're my client. I said, word. So anyway, I went to him and I was venting and we did some really deep work. And I'm going to talk about that work on another podcast, but I don't feel like crying today. I acknowledge when I'm feeling impatient. So first thing before I get into the meat of this is, have you ever been in a situation, or do you find yourself in situations where you're being impatient and you're just disappointed with yourself by just feeling that way? And then if you act on that impatience, you are even more disappointed in yourself. And then you kind of say to yourself like, oh, like I wish I didn't act like that. It's really crazy. But anyway, so sometimes I feel that way. I'm feeling that way right now in my life. But if you are empathetic and self-reflective, you'll see that your impatience is impactful in a negative way. Or if you're married or if you're going to work, there's nothing wrong with feeling distant or wanting time to yourself. I think that's really, really important. But you have to be the one that acknowledges when your patience is getting thin. And when that happens, the snowball effect of things that happen in your life, you not being able to recognize and control that or live in that space and figure out where it's coming from literally can be a domino effect of massive change in your life. And so not only do you have to listen to yourself, you have to listen to people. So this morning I got up, I had a really bad dream last night. It was horrible. And so when Scott got back from dropping the kids off, I was like, hey, I have to talk to you. And then I just start crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm being impatient. Like I shouldn't act like that. He's just so good. He's like, sometimes you go through what you go through, but he is also really good at telling me what I don't see about myself. And, he's so good. He always starts with something positive. He was like, I don't know many people that can express themselves in the way you express themselves and not be afraid of doing it because it may hurt someone or it may be too harsh, because I'm not afraid of confrontation. I definitely believe when it comes to other people that if I'm honest with them, there's good outcome on the other side. It's when I suppress things and I'm not honest and I just lash out, that's when bad things happen on the other side. So when I was talking to him this morning, he reassured me like, no, you're doing great. But also he reminded me, because I said a couple of days ago, I was like, I think I'm going to skip my mental health days this quarter, because I give all of my employees a weekend, a long weekend for whatever they need for mental health, just to kind of regroup, refresh. They've been working really hard. And a few days ago, I was like, I don't think I need it. And then this morning we looked at each other. He was like, you need it. And I was like, thank you. Because he also told me the other day when I was like, I don't think I need it, I feel good. He's like, oh no, yes you do. Calling me out in a really great way, in a very kind way. So anyway, today I'm going to discuss 7 ways that you can cultivate peace when you're feeling impatient. And maybe you are an even keel person, but something always bothers everyone, right? And so the goal is to find ways to maneuver your way through it rather than living in it and reacting to it, because we all know there's a difference between a response and a reaction. So we want to react better, but we also want to take time to think about what it is that we're doing and how we're feeling and have a great response to it, because that will be so much more productive. And the other thing I want to discuss is I just want to make sure and help you not to put those feelings that you have on others just because you were triggered, right? Because that's the domino effect that we don't want. We are trying to avoid putting our problems on other people when we feel less than. Our goal is to start to feel better, to help other people continue to be in the space that they want to be in and not make their space worse. So the first thing, some people might call this foo-foo, but these are things that have worked for me. One is practicing mindfulness. A few years ago, I took up box breathing, and it was one of the most incredible things that I've ever done. You ever wake up in the middle of the night and you're stressed, you feel anxious, you're like, I can't go back to sleep. Or if you just happen to wake up to have to go to the bathroom or whatever the case may be, and your mind is just racing. One of the things that I was able to do is do box breathing. And I would always be like, this isn't going to work. But it is the one thing that I can do that will put me to sleep immediately after 2 box breaths. It's crazy. So, and I had a gentleman on my podcast a few years ago. Basically, you take an inhale of 5 or 7 seconds and you hold it for 5 to 7 seconds, and you exhale slowly for 5 to 7 seconds, and then you hold it. So you're creating this box of breathing. And so there's something really incredible about when you're in that space where you're holding your breath and then you release it. To me, it's this feeling of it's a combination of an endorphin lift and an adrenaline rush, but it's also very, very relaxing. So just when I say make sure you breathe, and when people say you need to go take a breath, you need to go calm down, one of the things is inhale, hold the breath, exhale slowly. Even just doing that feels good. Hold the breath and then inhale again. And just keep doing that cycle. Another thing that happens when you do that is, you'll be able to hold your breath longer. It's just a really great thing, but mostly it helps you just release the tension in your body and in your mind. It sounds really weird, but you know what? I think the evolution of the human body is amazing, and our body has all of these incredible operating systems that help us deal with things that we don't necessarily need to take pharmaceuticals for. Don't get it twisted. trust and believe, in Arizona, THC, marijuana, is very legal. So I'm not going to say I don't have a gummy or two in my repertoire. They also really help. But, you have that feeling and those systems within you to be able to not more than deal with it, but to be able to kind of really live in the experience in that particular, cycle of where you are so that you can find a little bit more peace. The second thing is limiting your exposure to triggers. And when I say limit your exposure to triggers, I think a lot of people have this obligation to either be around people to do things that they don't want to do, to people please, or even if you're not a people pleaser, you're like, I got to get the job done, but you're not getting the job done in a way that keeps you in a really good headspace. So eliminating triggers. If people trigger you, if a group of people trigger you at work, or if you have a group of friends that trigger you, it's best to avoid the situation. It's not running from the problem, it's avoiding the stress within you. I'm not sure if you have seen the show series White Lotus, but it is very intense. Some people like the plot, some people don't. But what I find to be interesting about every season, and they have 3 seasons, is the acting of the characters and the commitment they have to the characters that they play. It comes through the screen like so real. People that you think like, oh my God, that person's corny, they're corny. That person has a lot of insecurities. It comes through the screen. It's insane. But anyway, in season 3, one of the plot lines is a group of 3 friends that go on vacation and the things that happen within that group. And you saw like when they arrived, it was all like fun and dandy and oh my gosh, we're here on this vacation. And then you saw like the backstabbing, the talking behind the back, and you saw the full circle moment. And you have to watch the show to see how it ended. I think it ended great. Oftentimes, again, if we feel obligated to do something, to go somewhere that we don't want to do, you're going to reap the benefits of that. It's going to be triggering. And actually, Scott and I had a conversation yesterday because he's trying to decide if he wants to do this, but he feels forced to do something. And I was just like, he was like, I'm going to lose either way. And I was like, no, you're not. I was like, if you make the decision not to do something that's triggering, and then you put yourself in that situation, not only is it going to be more triggering, but it's going to just fester within you. And then the people that made you triggered, they've done it before and they're going to do it again. So the best thing to do is to nip it in the bud. And I think that avoidance, a lot when you hear people talk about avoidance, it's kind of annoying because people think like, oh, I'm avoiding something I need to face. But you could have tried to deal with an issue, and avoidance of triggers is helping you out. So if you feel like you need to face something head on, but it's really benefiting the other person and it's not benefiting you at all, you have to do what's best for you and avoid those triggers. Number 3, this is where, this is my expertise. Engage in physical activity. A lot of people are stressed and impatient and have these issues that come up because they're not committed to any kind of like fitness or movement plan. It doesn't have to be like jumping or weight training. It could just be walking. It could be playing pickleball. It could be playing tennis. It could be getting on a basketball league. I have a friend that's an adult, but he's on a swim league. Physical activity really, really helps. I've told the story before how when I was much younger, I was in a relationship. It was an abusive relationship. I went to the doctor. I got on depression medication, Zoloft, and I'm thinking I'm depressed because of my environment. But what I realized is every time I went to work out, to dance, I felt like incredible, natural. And that's when I realized that me moving and me dancing, which is why I dance a lot, it just brings so much joy to my life. So find a physical activity that works for you, do it, commit to it. Because even if you're having a bad day, you definitely get that little boost that's going to make you feel a little bit better as you go through. The next thing I want to say is we have these like really wild and huge expectations that we put on ourselves. And I can admit that I'm in this situation that I'm in and dealing with my temperament, if you will, because I am putting a lot of expectation on myself. I'm putting a lot of stress on myself, which I tend to do because I do like digging deep, and I do like the struggle, but when it's a detriment to my everyday feeling and it affects other people that are around me, I have to be like, is this actually good for me? Is this a good dig deep moment, or is this a moment where I'm like, no, you need to pull up and stop like having these expectations of yourself. And I'm not a perfectionist. Like, I'm not somebody that's like, this needs to be perfect, but I am a go-getter, and I put these expectations on myself that are just like, oh, like, why am I doing that? And I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to succeed. I want to go after the goal. I want to push. I want to motivate. I want to inspire. Again, I don't feel like I need to be perfect because I use my non-perfect moments as teaching moments, but I still put an expectation on myself that I have to be X. And it's something that I really need to work on. So one of the things that I do when I have high expectations is I call a meeting because I'm putting these expectations on myself. And I know that it's going to push me to be a certain way. So then I have a meeting. And when I have a meeting, especially with the people that's closest to me, it could be work, it could be whatever. Or if it could just be a family meeting. We have family meetings with our kids, even though they're only 7, we talk about things. But when I'm able to communicate those things, my expectations of myself become lower because now I have support. So don't be afraid to eliminate the expectations. And if you have the support of people around you, they can help, be there for you, guide you, give you ideas, or just be a support system, and it works. So I had a meeting yesterday. I did this because I always have a meeting if I'm feeling a certain way, just so people know where I'm at. And this morning I got a text message that was like, I talked to Scott, and from another person on my team, I got this text message that just made me be like, ugh, like, this is amazing. Like, when you have people around that listen and want to help and support, and they take action and don't wait, they're the kind of people that you want in your life, because they're not waiting for you to figure out what to do better. They're like, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And also, here are some ways that I can help you out. Maybe not with the problem itself, but with things that are affecting you. And that's why communication is a great thing to get really, really good at. I'm a great communicator. I keep it real. I might wait too long to send text messages back to people, but when I send them, it's very clear. The next thing you can do for yourself is cultivate gratitude. Like, be happy with where you are. We were talking on my Transform and Thrive group. It was a 10-week program that I did. It was amazing. But one of the things we talked about is you don't really have gratitude for how far you've gotten. Even when it comes to weight loss, like, people want to go, instead of take a moment to be like, yeah, I did lose this weight. I'm going to create my own plateau, and I'm going to like live in this moment of like gratitude that I've gotten this far for myself, instead of like keep going. It's like, I'm going to have gratitude for myself. I know why I put myself in this situation. I'm in this situation and I'm impatient right now because I'm working really hard. Let me focus on the fact that I'm doing great things and I'm working really hard. And if I'm working too hard, then I'm allowed to pull back. And that's what having gratitude and grace for yourself will do. It will make you look at yourself from outside of yourself, and you can say, I'm actually doing a pretty good job, and me taking a moment to myself or backing off a little bit is not slacking. It's actually helping the end game, because if I'm stressed going through the end game, then everyone else is going to be stressed. Or if I'm stressed getting to the end game, everyone else is going to be stressed. And so I'm going to have gratitude for myself and pat myself on the back and step back if I have to, because it's better for the big picture. Number 6, establish a routine. I think that some people like routines, some people don't. But even if you don't like routines, there are things that you like to do. So make a list of things that you love to do so you can have a routine that's perfect for you for this month. I say make 30-day routines. I have people do that. 30-day calendars for you to stay committed and consistent with whatever it is that you want to do. And that will turn into you, I use the word, healing yourself from the stress that you're under because you've planned, right? If a routine helps you stay on track, a routine can also help you eliminate the people you don't want to be around. It can go back and eliminate those triggers that we were talking about, because this is your routine. I'm also a big believer in not being afraid to disappear from the people who have expectations of you being around all the time, disappearing for 3 to 6 months. I mean, let them know you're fine, you're not sick, you're not kidnapped, but also be like, I need time to myself. Like, I need to do this so I can come back a better person, because if you try to play tennis ball with a flat tennis ball, no matter how well you hit the ball is not going to fly the right way. It's just not. It's not going to go as deep as you want it to go. And all the work that you're putting into the technique of hitting that ball is not going to be beneficial. So, you just have to settle down and make sure you're going after things that are full and wholesome to you. And last but not least, connect with nature. I love being outside. I also did a reel a little bit ago just about changing your environment, but mostly getting outside, taking a walk outside. It's funny, yesterday when I was feeling impatient, I actually wanted to say to my kids, like, hey guys, do you want to go for a walk outside? Because I knew what it made me feel better. It was just too close to bedtime for them. But that's one thing that I'm going to do more. And obviously I exercise, but right now exercise is kind of a job. So I don't get the same release that I get in the off season because I'm working towards something. So just taking that time to walk outside, put on my headphones, listen to music, breathe, just embrace that. And also you can do it with a spouse or you can do it with a friend, but I also believe in doing that, getting out in nature safely, alone, just like be one with the world, and it can help you stay grounded. So I really hope that those 7 things can help you if you're in a situation where you're feeling impatient, if you're feeling just overwhelmed and it's affecting the people around you. And I also believe that we really, truly need to be honest with ourselves. And instead of blaming other people like, oh, I'm feeling this way because it's their fault. I'm feeling this way because it's their fault. It's like, well, you're feeling that way for a reason that you're feeling a lot of the times. And so if you can attach to the foundation of that from within you, then you'll have a much better success rate of obviously getting out of that headspace because you've actually looked internally first. I hope you continue to transform in the best way that you know how. Don't be down on yourself if you don't feel great, if you're impatient, if you're overstressed. Don't be down on yourself. I will say that some bonus things that help me beyond the 7 things that I told you. Therapy, you all know that. I talked about therapy, but therapy is really, really great if you find the right therapist. And then just having a confidant, having someone who is a super good listener. They're not your therapist. They're not your therapist. They're just somebody that's like, you know what? This person listens to me. They hear me. They give good insight for what I'm feeling. I definitely have a solid 2 people, 3 people, well, probably more than that in my life that can help me with that. And they can be honest with me. So they're just like 2 little bonus things that you can do, but continue to transform. Please leave a review for T is for Transformation. I appreciate you for being here. I hope you're enjoying the show. Make sure you go to our Instagram page and interact with the page and the comments and the posts so other people can see how you are faring along with your personal transformation. And I'll see you next time.